Hello, welcome back. We're just gonna jump right into with number 10, Bowser's Inside Story. I'll be honest, I played this game a lot as a kid. I absolutely despised it, but on playing it through again today for the purposes of this video, I actually ended up really enjoying it. As a kid, I got stuck at a particular spot where I was basically lost and confused. I didn't really know where I was going, and I don't remember the particulars of it. I just remember there being a shop nearby. I played this a really long time ago for the first, then I came back to it recently, and I was like, oh, this is actually a really fun game. And so what I ended up, that's how it ended up at number 10. Purely because I despised it so much as a kid, and upon a second playthrough today as an adult, I actually thoroughly enjoyed it. But it does not mean I still love it like some people do. These games have always been very confusing to me. It feels like if they never stopped making traditional Paper Mario games, so it's always felt weird having these like Mario and Luigi games alongside Paper Mario games that have always been more RPG like, and so it's always been rather confusing to have both titles going at the same time to me. But seeing how good these games are, I honestly was thoroughly impressed. Not like when I was a child, desperately annoyed at this game. But overall, it was an enjoyable experience, and I think it makes a very suitable number 10. Number 9. This might be a controversial choice. Kingdom Hearts Recoded. I'm a huge Kingdom Hearts fan, and for a very long time, like the previous game, I was unable to beat this game as a kid. But I eventually, while a little bit older, was able to beat it, and I loved it so much because by the time I was able to properly understand what was going on in this game, like I first played this game when I was like 6 or something, or 7, and I just had no idea what I was doing. It was my very first Kingdom Hearts game, but I was just confused. I'm like, why is there Mickey? Why is this kid with spiky hair here? I was just overall generally confused, and I could not get past Traverse Town. But as I am today, and as I was a few years later, I finally beat the game when I was like 12, and I was just so happy because I was a little bit older and I was able to properly understand the game mechanics. While this isn't a perfect game, it is very hampered by the controls, I actually really enjoyed it. It was my first proper Kingdom Hearts experience, and I was just so happy to play this game again to refresh my memory for the purposes of this video. It was just such a joy going back to play this game. Sure, the controls are really janky, and it helps playing this on a 3DS with the analog stick. It just was a much better experience. So if you have a hacked or modded 3DS, download this game. It'll be a much better experience playing on that than on original hardware. This game, though I'm not going to spoil it, story is kind of dumb. Some might say exceedingly dumb, but I did have a lot of fun. The gameplay was perfect, the story was fine, but I never had the Kingdom Hearts games, at least until much later in life, before having Kingdom Hearts Recoded. It wasn't until I was like 14, 15 until I had my first proper, PS2 Kingdom Hearts 1 experience. So, being like a little 10-year-old, not understanding games and stuff, this being my first Kingdom Hearts experience, I was really excited to play it and finally understand it. And I just had so much fun and so many childhood memories tied to this. I highly recommend it if you have a modded 3DS or something like that. Go play this today. It's not perfect, but it's my number 9. Number 8, Rhythm Heaven. It is honestly a really fun rhythm game based minigame collection. That's the best way I can describe it, and I didn't have a lot of these style games growing up, but I thoroughly did enjoy this one. My favorite game was when you would like flick the rod and try to get into the, match it into the holes, time to the music. That honestly one of my favorite, games that I would plug in on a road trip, and I just would play for endless hours, just mind-numbingly over and over again. I got bored of it fairly, long into the car rides usually, but it was one of the earlier games I had for my DS, and I was such a unique experience, and I don't often play these style games. And it was overall a very enjoyable experience in one of the best rhythm games I've ever played to this day. And then again, I don't play very many rhythm games to begin with, but if I did, I'm happy that one of the few rhythm games that I've played was Rhythm Heaven, and I highly recommend it, and it deserves its spot for number 8. Number 7 is in a very similar vein to Kingdom Hearts, but fits a lot better on the platform. The World Ends With You is an amazing game, and I super recommend this. Probably less on the original hardware, but more like the remake that they did for the Nintendo Switch. And I would be much more happier playing with that, but I never purchased it because I already owned it on my DS, so why would I need to own it twice? And I just thought this was a really fun game. I loved the designs of the characters. I was really into anime as a kid, and I still am. And I saw this game at GameStop, and I was like, this looks like an anime game. I'm gonna buy it. Never finished it growing up, but thankfully I have now. And it is such a wonderful experience. It utilizes the 2 screens very well, and one of like the premier games on DS. It utilized the hardware so much better than so many other games out there, and I was so happy to play this game. If you haven't played it before, go pick it up or privateer it off the internet. I hope everybody, if this is like the one takeaway from this video, go play this game. It's a fantastic game. It is very accessible nowadays, so I highly recommend it. Go pick it up. Why are you still watching this video? Go play this game. Number 6, Kirby Superstar. If I'm being honest, I just really like Kirby, I think. Looking back, I just never really had a lot of experiences with older Kirby games, and I think that's probably why I loved Kirby Superstar Ultra. So, I just really loved this game. I don't know why. I seriously don't. The platforming was tight. The controls felt amazing. Me later finding out it was a remake of a Super Nintendo game was super cool, and I eventually did purchase the original Kirby Superstar for my Super Nintendo that I eventually purchased myself. And this was a lot of fun. I think this was a really well done update, well worth it. And it was just so much fun. The platforming, the pixel art was fantastic. This really was a fantastic game. Very visually beautiful to play on the DS, and very visually intriguing and interesting to look at. And as a small child playing this game, it was just so many colors. It was so pretty, and I just thoroughly enjoyed it. I did steal this game from my sister, though. Yeah, I stole it. Blatantly stole it. And I have tons of memories of me and my sister arguing over, whose game it is, and it was hers. It was super hers, but I loved it so much, I just had to play it. It was just so much fun, and I highly recommend it. It is a solid number 6, and I can't wait for more Kirby games. I've been so happy with how well Kirby's been doing as of recently. It is so awesome to see where Kirby is today, and I'm super happy this was my first entry into the series. Number 5 was another choice from my sister because she had a lot of experience with DS too. I passed my DS down to her. Then I upgraded to a DSi. So her being able to pick her own games, she chose to pick up Animal Crossing. I didn't have a lot of experience with Animal Crossing growing up. I didn't really have a lot of experiences playing the one on the GameCube. I didn't particularly play New Horizons that came out recently. I didn't like the one on the 3DS, but I did have some experience playing Animal Crossing Wild World on the DS, and I just remember so many times seeing my sister late at night playing, trying to get, nighttime exclusive items. It was just so many wholesome experiences tied to this game, and it being such a wonderful game on the DS and had so many fun local multiplayer options. It was just very fun to see other people have something to enjoy. This game was so much fun for me as a kid growing up, not only as someone who's played it a little bit, but as an observer, seeing how much enjoyment my sister was able to get from this game, it being one of her first games she's ever played. So seeing her enjoy it so much I was able to enjoy it vicariously through her, because on long, I always bring up road trips because we did go on a lot of road trips because we had grandparents not even like an hour away. So we made trips up to where they were constantly. So sometimes when it was the late night car ride home, I would just look down and see her playing, and it was just so wholesome. She fell asleep a bunch of times playing, and I was just so happy that she had something to do and something we could bond over, that it being gaming, which she would eventually stop gaming a lot altogether, but it was nice to have that moment as a kid. So this makes a solid number 5. Go play this game. It's fantastic. Number 4 is a completely all about me game, Super Mario 64 DS. This game is fucking awesome. I loved playing Mario 64 at my uncle's house because he had an N64. It was so much fun. I wish I always had a Mario game like that growing up. But I didn't know that Mario 64 got ported to the DS. I think it was a launch title for the DS, I'm pretty sure. And I just loved this game so much. I just remember one day going into GameStop with my mom and dad because I had some birthday money to spend. I just go in, look at the wall of used DS games, and what did I see? Right bang in the middle, a Super Mario 64 cartridge. It was so awesome. They were doing a buy 2 get 1 free deal with used games, and I was able to pick up 2 used games, and I was able to get Mario 64 DS for free, and I was so happy. I left that GameStop like a filthy bandit. I felt like it was just so awesome. In these next couple games, you'll probably actually also see from that same purchase, because like I said, I purchased a total of 3 games. Technically, 1 was free, that being the Mario 64. There are 2 other games that I purchased that we're going to talk about very soon. But carrying on about Mario 64 DS, I know the controls are janky. They are terrible. It's really awkward using the DS, and I do not know how somebody that is left-handed would play this game. But as a small kid who loved Mario 64 and always wanted it to play it portably, being able to play Mario 64 portably, and when you have that image in your head of a game that you always wanted to play portably, but at the time just wasn't physically possible. Well, imagine you just found out, you just played Super Smash Bros. Melee for the first time, and you loved it so much, and all you wanted to do was play it all the time in the car, in your room late at night, just all the time, and you could only play it in the living room on the TV. Imagine a week later you found out that you could play it on your Game Boy Advance. That's what I felt like. I felt like, oh my god, I could take this on the go, and it was an actual legitimate option. This is what it felt like, how I feel about the Nintendo Switch today, how we all felt about the Nintendo Switch. You saw Doom, and you saw it as a game you could only play at home, but now it's on the Switch, and you can take it everywhere. A high-quality console-level experience that you never thought would be possible portably portable. And that's how I felt when I played Mario 64 for the DS for the first time. I was like, oh my god, this is Mario 64 portably. It was such a just touchstone moment for me, realizing how this was possible and really helped me form my opinions on gaming and how much I love portable gaming. Some of my favorite systems of all time are portable systems. The Vita, the 3DS, the PSP, all important gaming systems to me, arguably more important to me than some home consoles that I've had in the past. I can't even, talk about this so much because this needs to be its own video, but this was such an important moment for me. That's why it makes it a number 4. It sounds really strange after having such a important emotional speech about Mario 64 for just to be number 4, but the next 3 games are so much more important to me. On to the next one. Number 3 being Mario Kart DS. This probably is the newest addition to the list because I loved Mario Kart DS, but I always saw it as another racing game. This being one of the other games that I purchased from the GameStop that included with my Mario 64 game. So I had this game for quite a while, but I didn't really love it, you know? I just didn't have any passion. I just didn't have any notable feelings about this game. I didn't have any like emotional attachments to it until much more recently. I was about 17 or something when I finally finally developed some emotional attachment, something meaningful. It gave me real passion to love this game. So much later in life and in the life cycle of the DS, strangely enough. Something that doesn't happen often for me. But I was 17, so this had been 2020, so it honestly was a very strange experience. This has little to do with the pandemic, but some of the circumstances would have happened without the pandemic. But I showed my uncle my old 2DS that I wasn't using anymore, and he asked if he could borrow it. And so I hacked it for him, and I loaded it up with a bunch of old games and DS games. One of the games he attached himself to was Mario Kart for the DS. So anytime I saw him, we'd be playing Mario Kart DS because I would bring my DS, my 2DS XL over all the time. So me and him would be sitting in the corner like little gremlins playing Mario Kart DS. Because for some reason he just loved Mario Kart DS, all because he could play as a fucking shy guy. I don't know why, but he just really loved playing as a shy guy, and he loved how Mario Kart DS really controlled. So I just ended up playing so much more and having so many fond memories of me and my uncle being little gaming gremlins in the corner, you know, of like any family gatherings or any like Zoom calls or something, just playing Mario Kart. So it was just so much fun, like as an adult, almost just young adult, just playing Mario Kart with my uncle like I was 9 years old again. So it was just, especially because it was the pandemic and I didn't get to see him often, any time I got to spend with him and we played Mario Kart felt really special, given those trying times we were in. And I just had so much fun, and having like recent memories of this game really helped this game float to the top of the stack. It really did. And I just had so much fun, and I highly recommend this game. Obviously, it's a Mario Kart game. It's gonna be good, but it was just so much of its time, you know? You play and you feel like, yes, the early 2000s. Give me a Mountain Dew that has Halo's Master Chief on it and some fucking Cheetos, man. That's what this game is to me. It's just so much of its part of its time, from its time. And getting to relive that with my uncle was just a special experience. On to number 2. New Super Mario Bros. For the DS. This was the third game I received from this GameStop. So I bought, as I mentioned before, 2 games. One was free. This was one of the games I directly purchased with my birthday money. And this was the goal from the beginning. I always wanted this game. This game, I saw the trailers for. I was so fucking excited. I love 2D Mario, and I will be the first to say this is a fucking fun game, but holy cow, do I hate the mini mushroom. It is a terrible superpower, and I also hate the big mushroom. It's also a terrible power. But as a kid, I fucking loved the blue turtle shell power-up. It was the best power-up. It was my favorite thing, being able to sprint and start, spinning and rolling in the shell and be able to complete a level without ever leaving that mode. It was like a trial run for me as a kid, and I always wanted to beat the whole game exclusively in, shell spinning mode. It was so much fun, and that's not even half of the game for me, because the other thing I did all the time was play the fucking mini games. I played so much Luigi Poker, so much of that rolling the snowball mini game. I loved, using the bottom screen to make those bouncy pads for Mario in the construction mini game. It was just so much fun, and I couldn't talk about this game more, honestly. This has so many core memories in my head because this game was just so much fun. It was like that one of the first games that I was like super hyped for. Something I followed from announcement to release. It was just so much fun, and I'm so happy that I was able to acquire this game, because god damn, this game is a fucking gem, and you all need to play it. It was the beginning of the new Super games, and it was one of the best new Super games, because this series, God knows, went downhill so fast. Number 1 might not be surprising, if I'm being honest with myself. Pokemon Black and White and Black and White 2. I'm lumping them together because their story sort of bridges these two games, and they're, I'll be honest, functionally, gameplay-wise, exactly the same. Sure, they have their own exclusive features and exclusive Pokemon, blah, 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 blah. But, for the purposes of this list, these 4 games are going to be mentally and verbally merged to one, because what I say about one could easily be applied to the other. But, this being one of... It's not the first Pokemon game that I purchased, technically, or owned, because I did have Heart Gold and Soul Silver much after that one came out. I had a lot of experience playing Pearl growing up, but that wasn't mine. Heart Gold was mine, but it was very early, and I think I got that after I got Black and White 2. I don't really remember, because I was very young, but from what I remember, Black and White 2 I got first, then I got Black and White, which was really weird. I don't remember the circumstances why that was the case, but that's neither here nor there. This game is so good. I easily have 360 plus hours in this game, and there was a point in this game where I spent probably a good 30 hours stuck, because I just had no idea where the hell I was going. It was right after you beat, I think it's the 3rd gym. Basically, you beat the gym leader, then you have to go through Chargestone Cave. And I couldn't figure out what to do in Chargestone Cave to continue. So I was just like, God dang it, I don't know what I'm doing. So I spent such a long time there. All but like 1 or 2 of my Pokemon were so overleveled that they wouldn't listen to me anymore, and my Samurott was like, which was now a Samurott, and on top of it, evolving, so it was over level 36. It ended up being like level 40 something by the time I figured out where the hell I was going, which put me substantially overleveled for a good while, and it also wouldn't listen to me anymore, so that was fun. And most of my Pokemon wouldn't listen to me. That was also fun, and it was just having so many, like I mentioned with Mario, New Super Mario Bros, just so many core memories with this game. This is probably the DS game I have the most time in. If I put this specific Pokemon game alongside all the games I've ever played, it would probably be in the top 20 of my most played games of all time in terms of time spent in the game. I have so many things in this game. I even used an action replay to give me a bunch of rare candies because my friend had one. And I was able to trade a bunch of Pokemon. I never completed the Pokédex or the National Dex because I just didn't want to. I was lazy. I was a kid who didn't know how to catch on these guys, and also was mostly by myself when I had this game, so I couldn't exactly, trade Pokemon back and forth with people, so I couldn't get some of the trade evolutions. But this game was so amazing, and I had so much time in it, and I just can't explain more how amazing this Pokemon game is. It's one of the best Pokemon games of all time. I could argue that they've gone downhill since Pokemon Black and White 2. I mean, X and Y was rough. Sun and Moon was bad. Sword and Shield was kind of bad. Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee was bad, but for not the visual reason. It was bad because of the catching style and the gameplay mechanics. Didn't like that one because of that. But visually very pretty. Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, fucking ugly. And Scarlet and Fire, a disaster. So, arguably, the last good Pokemon game was probably Black and White 2, not counting any remakes, because Alpha Ruby and it's Alpha Sapphire, Omega Ruby it's an amazing game. It's truly one of my favorite games, but I also like blitzed through that in like 25 hours. So that covers that game. I guess I'll probably end up talking about it some more when I do a 3DS tier list. But this game just has so many core memories for me. This is the best Pokemon game story-wise, and really did get me thinking about the logistics of owning a Pokemon. I got very philosophical when it came to this game. I was a 10-year-old or 12-year-old like, is it morally okay to make Pikachu Thunderbolt Team Rocket every time they see them? Does Pikachu want to Thunderbolt Team Rocket? Does Team Rocket deserve it? I was a very like, I'm 13 years old and this is deep as a kid. I was very cringe. And this game just did not help that, honestly. But I highly recommend this game. It was such a big part of my childhood, and that's why it's number 1. Well, that covers it. Is there any game that I missed? Do you want me to do another video talking about some other video games for this top 10 list? Leave a comment down below. I would love to hear any other recommendations. I'm always looking for something new. All the other social media garbage down below. Don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And right here at the end, I am updating my schedule to be Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So an extra video every week. So leave a comment down below if you're happy about that. And don't forget to have a wonderful day.